Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're tackling a question that's been on a lot of people's minds. How can the United States be trillions of dollars in debt and still be the world's economic superpower? I mean, it sounds crazy, right? But there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that makes this possible. So, let's break it down. First off, let's talk about the national debt. As of 2024, the US is sitting on a whopping $33 trillion in debt. Yeah, that's trillion with a T. It's a mind-blowing number, but what's even more interesting is that despite this massive debt, the US economy is still the largest in the world. So, how does that work? Well, a big part of the answer lies in something called treasury bonds. The US government issues these bonds as a way to borrow money. When investors, whether they're from the US or overseas, buy these bonds, they're essentially lending money to the government. In return, the government promises to pay them back with interest. Treasury bonds are considered one of the safest investments in the world, which is why so many countries and investors are eager to buy them. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The US can pretty much print as much money as it wants. And I'm not exaggerating. Thanks to the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank of the United States, the government has the power to create more money to pay off its debt. This is where things like quantitative easing come into play. The Fed can buy up treasury bonds and other securities, pumping money into the economy when needed. Now, you might be thinking, wait, doesn't printing more money lead to inflation? And you'd be right, normally, it would. But here's the thing. The US has a secret weapon, the petrodollar. Back in the 1970s, the US struck a deal with major oil-producing countries to trade oil exclusively in US dollars. This deal created a massive global demand for dollars, because countries all over the world need dollars to buy oil. As a result, the US can print more money without causing runaway inflation because there's always a global demand for those dollars. This ties into the US's role as the global reserve currency. About 60% of the world's foreign currency reserves are held in US dollars. This means that other countries keep large amounts of their savings in dollars, and they use the dollar in international trade. This constant demand for dollars helps keep the currency strong, even when the US is printing more of it. So, why doesn't this lead to hyperinflation like we've seen in other countries that tried to print their way out of debt? The answer lies in the US's unique position in the global economy. The dollar's role as the world's reserve currency gives the USA a lot of leeway that other countries don't have. Plus, the US economy is incredibly diverse and resilient. It's not just about money. It's about the country's overall economic power, military strength, and political influence. But there's more to the story. The US also maintains its power through a series of strategic alliances and trade deals. For example, the US has long-standing relationships with key countries in Europe, Asia, and the Middle East that help to stabilize the dollar. These alliances ensure that the dollar remains the go-to currency for global trade, which in turn helps to keep inflation in check and supports the US economy. So, in a nutshell, the US can manage its massive debt without crashing the economy because it has a unique set of tools and advantages, like the ability to issue treasury bonds, print money, and leverage the petrodollar system. And as long as the dollar remains the world's reserve currency, the US will likely continue to maintain its status as a global superpower. But what does this mean for the future? Well, there are challenges ahead, especially as other countries like China try to challenge the dollar's dominance. But for now, the US remains in a strong position. And that's a wrap for today's deep dive into the US economy and how it keeps ticking despite all that debt. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for more, and drop a comment below with your thoughts on the future of the dollar. Do you think the US can keep this up forever, or are there cracks starting to show? I'd love to hear your opinions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.